Let's go. Good evening everyone and welcome back to Revolution Tier 3 Season 13. And it's time for round 10 of the season, the Belgian Grand Prix at the iconic Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. We're back once again after a eventful double-header at the Silverstone Circuit. There we go. Last week at the reverse layout, the week before at the normal layout. And both of those races saw a new race winner in Tier 3. The normal layout was won by Barney, who now has been promoted to Tier 2, by the way, and has been replaced with Sean, who is returning after a long while in Tier 3. It's so exciting to see him back. And last week saw Barney not being able to quite manage the back-to-back win, as Harry, in the end, won that race by getting his time penalty removed. So Harry now can call himself a Tier 3 winner as well in the Kicksauber. But tonight we've got a sprint weekend, which means we've got sprint qualifying, which is 12 minutes. After that, an 8-lap sprint race, and then the normal procedure, which is short qualifying of 18 minutes, and a regular 50% race, which will be 22 laps around the Spa circuit. So a busy program tonight. And first one out there on the lap is Nexus in the Kicksauber. The majority of the drivers will be on the mediums in these first runs, because you only get one set of soft for the sprint qualifying session, which you, well, obviously want to use at the end of the session when the track is at its best. Bit of a mistake there on the braking by Nexus, as he hits the one of the braking boards there, and he hit the grass on the outside as well. But he's kept it within the white lines, most importantly, so he's going to be able to continue on his lap and finish what will be his banker lap. Welcome, Nate, to the stream. Good to have you, as always. And hope you're going to be enjoying this one as well. We've got a full grid again, which is always lovely to see. But let's take a quick look at the championship stands before we really get into this weekend. Alpha High Wall once again had extended his lead at the previous race to what is now 51 points towards Harry, who has moved up to second place after his win last week. But he's only 4 points ahead of Jesus and 13 points ahead of Lennon's, who moves down to P4. Lennon's really not on a great run in the last few races. Unfortunately on a downwards form, and really hope he can get back up to where we started the season with a second place, a few podium finishes, great top 5 finishes. But at the moment he's down to P4 in the championship, just ahead of Twoosh Terry, who missed out on the podium last week to Alpha Hypol, who was consistent as ever this season. As Nexus sets the fastest lap, a 42.9 will be the first one, and it's going to be the lap time to beat so far. But we know everyone at the end will be on the softs, and the times will drop drastically to, well, almost a second maybe. In the Constructors Championship, speaking of Sauber, is Kicksauber now. They have overtaken Alpine after the win last week. The gap is 7 points between them. Well, I say Alpine, but really it's Alpha Hypol who's the man of the hour, because out of the 137 points that Alpine has scored this season so far, 130 of them have been from Alpha Hypol, the other 7 of his teammates. So it's really a one-man team at Alpine, and still he finds himself in the fight in the Constructors Championship. But it's really close, because Kicksauber leads by 7 points over Alpine, and 11 points then over Williams, and even Haas and McLaren and Racing Bulls, Aston Martin. They're not too far off, well, 40, 50 points at max. Still mathematically in the fight. Well, except for Mercedes, who are down on 26 points in 10th place. Really not a great season for them so far. But in the meantime, Balaboten, he's improved. Well, he set the fastest lap time, a 42.494. Balaboten has really become quite a good driver in qualifying lately. Picking up his first pole position 2 weeks ago at the Silverstone Grand Prix. And last week he started, I believe, in P4 with another strong performance. So he is going to be one of the favorites as well this week for the front row. We're going to have to keep an eye out on him. Shark has gone second place. Harry, our latest race winner, P3 with a 42.6. Just ahead of Kai, who was returning after a few weeks off. He was originally a full-time RB driver alongside Wardy. But after a few rounds, I think he dropped out due to an injury. But it is great to see him back. Hope he has recovered well, and he's out there on track at Belgium, making his return in the series. He's still in the championship, of course, 20th, although on 10 points. But hoping to see him getting some good results again and move up the order. Nexus, of course, got promoted to Tier 3 last week, I think, ahead of the reverse race at Silverstone. Doing a good job so far. Next, he actually raced yesterday in Tier 1 due to a lack of drivers alongside Lemon, Aaron, Michael. Michael, who's racing as well. He should be. He is a Tier 2 driver, but he's not racing tonight. In his place is Mahmoudev. And as well in Tier 1 was another Tier 4 driver, I think. Scorter, yeah, Tier 5 driver in fact. Nexus, Lemon, Scorter, Aaron and Michael all raced yesterday in Tier 1. Got a bit of practice. So it's going to be interesting to see what they will be able to do. Dark Assassin, haven't seen much from him lately. His last 2 races, I think he retired not short after the start of the race. He was once our championship leader after picking up a win at Melbourne. Currently down at P15 in the Ferrari. He's dropped down the order bit in the championship as well to what is now, I think, 5th place behind Lennon's. 6th place actually behind Tousteri on 60 points, so 17 points off the championship lead. Arbon in the Red Bull. Of course, got good practice as usual yesterday in Tier 2. Currently sits in P7 with a 43.2, which is just about 8/10 of a second of Balabotan, who is currently still on provisional pole position. But our championship leader has not set a lap time yet. I'm not sure if he was out on track and invalidated, but he is put on the softs. He might be only going for 1 run in this session, so it's going to be all or nothing for Alpha Highball. Though it is only a sprint race, so it doesn't really matter where you finish here. The big points are scored in the main event. Only 8 for the race winner in the sprint, all the way down to P8 with 1 point. Jesus also hasn't set a lap time yet, nor has Froby and Jaden. But we will be seeing those out on track in a few moments' time. As we near the end of sprint qualifying already, it's only 12 minutes. And they go by very quickly around the longest track on the calendar, just over 7 kilometers. With some massive elevation changes as well, which I got to experience firsthand. Because last year I went to the Belgian Grand Prix in 2024. And after the race you can always do a track walk, which is what I did. I sat just at the chicane after Pouhon. That is turn 13 and 14. And I walked all the way back towards turn 1 in reverse, so back through Pouhon and then in the first sector down the Camel Straight, down Eau Rouge. Great experience, but it really was a long walk. Took around, well, over an hour and a half maybe. And the elevation change of Eau Rouge is just stunning to see. It's really, really incredible. It's way more than what it seems to be on the game. But with 2.5 minutes to go, everyone is going out for their final runs, or first runs, for some of these drivers. And Arbon has retired from the session. He will start only down in P7 at best, which is not great news for him, because everyone is going out on softs and will be going quicker than their first runs, if they don't invalidate. So it is not looking great for the Red Bull reserve driver. Either way, we are preparing ourselves for the final runs, and Mio De Noche is going to be the first one to set his lap time in the Aston Martin, the newly Aston Martin driver, to the grid. Got a full-time seat immediately. And he's already up by 1.5 tenths, but he goes slightly wide there through the Lecombe chicane, and he's really lost out a lot on the exit there as well, with a bit of a moment as the back end wanting to step out. So he's really have to gain the rest of the time throughout the second and third sector. Now through Nolan. I'm not sure if he has backed off, because it doesn't seem to be a push lap. He's got 1 minute remaining. And I think he's going to be able to get back to the finish line in time, as he just invalidates as well. So I think he's backed off now, and he wants to go for his final run, for his final lap in a few moments time. So then we focus on, I think it is Shark, the next nearest driver on their final run. Probably will be the first driver to catch the finish flag. Currently second, over a tenth of a second behind Balabotan, just ahead of Harry as well. But let's see how much he is going to improve through the middle sector. Well, there it is, 5/10 of a second is up. We're going to be well inside the 141s, but by how much? And what about Balabotan? He's not improved much through sector 1, but sector 2 is really where you're going to gain the time. With the softs compared to the mediums, let's see how much he is improving. For almost 5/10 of a second as well. It's going to be really close between these two. It's all about this final chicane. And it seems like Shark has managed it quite well. He's going to cross the line for the fastest time. It's going to be a 141.908. And Balabotan needs to improve by at least just under 6/10 of a second. Next to cross the line is Harry in the kick sauber. What can he do? Is he going to be able to beat the time of Shark? Nexus goes to the front row. Harry goes quickest by 0.002 of a second at 141.905. Very close, and Balabotan misses out by half a tenth. Look how close it is already. As we now wait for Twooch Terry to cross the line. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. In the Haas, he goes P5, missed out by 7/10 of a second. Huge gaps. As Dark Assassin goes only P10. And then Jaden in the Ferrari's only lap time of the session puts him in P14. And Blitz Hyper, he's gone off. He will not be improving. What about Jesus? He hasn't set a lap time either. Not the strongest in qualifying. And it's going to be P10 for now. But there's more drivers behind him improving. Lennon's P12. Alpha Hype Wall goes P5 with his one and only lap. Is that going to be enough for him? Sean goes P7 on his return. And that is Mahmoudov up to P5. What about Kai? In the Mercedes. Ozan inside the top 10. Kai improves his position to P7. I don't think there's anyone else out there who is going to be able to challenge Harry's time. We wait for Mayo, Blitz Hyper, who will not be improving. And Frobby in the McLaren is going to be the last one to cross the line. The Aston Martin driver stays in P12. And what about Frobby in P20? Jumps up to P11, just outside the top 10. But that is the end then of qualifying. Because Blitz Hyper, he went off earlier on his lap. And it's gonna be Harry on sprint pole position by only 0.002 of a second. It's really close stuff here for pole position. And Balabotan not too far behind either. Also with a 41.9. The top 3 separated by a half a tenth of a second. Nexus P4, great job from both Saubers then. Looking for a good result. They haven't had the best of starts of this week. Whilst V-Carb have. But this could help them tonight in getting some good points. Mahmoudov in P5, Alpha Eyeball in P6, Kai in 7th place and Twoosterry in P8 for what will be the final point scoring position. But now we prepare ourselves for the 8-lap sprint race. And it is overcast once again. No rain in sight like there was in Tier 1. We had rain basically at the end of the opening lap. Everyone started on the slicks. But then at the end of lap 1, I decided to pit already, which was, in hindsight, too early. But a few laps later, everyone else had made their pit stop. So it went dry to wet very, very quickly. But it seems to be a dry race. There is the sun coming out a little bit as well. But for the sprint race, it is going to be... well, mediums will be making to the end. 8 laps. I see Twoosterry even going for the hards. Which I think is a bit optimistic, because mediums should be good enough to make the full 8 laps of this race. But we shouldn't be waiting long for this race to start. Harry is going to go on the hards as well. So he thinks the mediums won't last all the way till the end. But it's going to be very interesting indeed, especially with that run after turn 1. The Lost Source hairpin all the way up. Eau Rouge and Radion down the Camel Straight. And then towards the Lecombe chicane. Where slipstream is going to play a major factor, especially on the opening lap. Then afterwards it is going to settle down a little bit. But we will still see some DRS trains. And potentially some battles on the last lap. But it's time to go sprinting at Spa-Francorchamps. Harry is on pole position. Alongside him is Shark and the lights are out. And here we go at Spa. Harry leads the way as we go towards turn 1. Balaboten is going to send one up the inside though. Late on the brakes. Is he going to make the corner? Yes, he is. On the exit though. Harry is putting his kick-sauber alongside. But what a move by Balaboten. Straight into the lead of this race. But now Harry is going to have to slipstream. He is very close to the back of the Aston Martin as we go up the hill. The Nexus in the other Sauber is close behind as well. But here comes Harry putting his Sauber alongside the Aston Martin. We go wheel to wheel towards the Lecombe chicane. Balaboten has the inside line. Harry's going to try and go all the way around the outside, but he runs out of road there a little bit. Has to go off track and take the runoff area. Shark in P3, Scott past Nexus again, who's dropped down to P4. And Kai in P5, the other Mercedes. But Balaboten, what a start. And he has gone up into the lead of this race from P3 on the grid. Sean in P6 out of the two Hasses of Mahmoudev and Twuster in P8. Also in the P9 Alpha High Balls dropped down a little bit down to P10 as there is something going on in the background. Frobby has lost a lot of places. He's down to P18 in the McLaren. Finds himself wheel to wheel with Jesus going the long way around the outside through Pouon. But we have all made it through unscathed through the opening lap it seems. As Dark Assassin had a moment as well there through the Vanges chicane. And he's down to P13 just ahead of Arlon. But we've got 4 drivers starting on the hards. Ozan, the 2 Haas drivers and Harry. As Balaboten already trying to build a gap towards the kick-sauber. While the 2 Haas drivers fighting it out. Alpha High Bolt trying to go the long way around the outside through Blanchimon. He's going to have the inside line for the chicane. But Mahmoudev is trying to go up the inside of his own teammate as well. As Alpha High Bolt tries to get past the Haas who is on the hards, and round the outside he goes with the better traction, which should be able to see Alpha Eyeball up into P8, and it does as he goes in towards turn 1. Alpha Eyeball a position gained, and now inside the points paying positions, but he just about has the DRS. Adele Twuster ahead of him does not. Slipstreaming up the hill once again. Shark is close to the back of Harry and he's going to pull his Mercedes to the inside as we go towards the chicane, and Shark is going to get up into second place. Great move there as the other Mercedes is going to send on the inside there of Nexus. There's contact between the two as Kai goes completely off track, trying to fight it out with Nexus, and he gives the position back, but he runs off wide there off the track, and Sean is trying to get both of them. There's contact into the braking zone of the Bruxelles hairpin, but he does get both positions, and Sean moves from 6th place all the way up into P4, but he's got a gap of 1.5 seconds towards Harry inside the top 3. Kai will be frustrated a little bit there as he almost sends one up the inside through Pouon. Not really a place you want to overtake as it is such high speed. 2 Haas drivers holding on. Twuster now back within DRS range of the Mercedes. Mahmoudev as well. Lennon's at P9. What has happened to Alpha High Ball? He has gone off. He's down to P18. What has happened to our championship leaders? He runs out wide there out of turn 14. Did he make contact with someone? Did he get spun around? I am not quite sure, but fact is he is going to be outside the points, and it is going to be difficult for him to score any points in this sprint race. Same could be said for Frobby, who's picked up front wing damage as his left end plate is missing. And Raptor in P20 on his debut. Seems like he's got front wing damage as well in the V-car. Lennon's trying to find a way past Mahmoudev. Should have the better exit with the McLaren on the mediums, and he does. And now Lennon's finds himself inside the top 8. Nexus will try and fight back against Sean, but the gap is 0.4 of a second. And he's not going to be close enough to go for the move. In the background, Twuster has to fight off against the McLaren, and he goes off track in the process. Might have picked up a warning for track limits. What has happened on the exit? Now Lennons is going to go long around the outside. Says thank you very much. And the McLaren drivers up to P7, as the two Hasses move down to P8 and 9. Blitz Hyper started at the back of the grid, finds himself inside the top 10. Good comeback from him so far, just ahead of the two Red Bulls. Welcome, Barney, by the way. I saw it earlier, but I forgot to respond. But welcome to our former Tier 3 race winner and Tier 3 driver who has been promoted to Tier 2. Good to have him around as well. But at the front, Balaboton, he has built a gap, but not enough. The gap's 0.8 of a second towards Shark. Shark still searching for his first win in Tier 3, and so is Balaboton. And the sprint race might be their ultimate opportunity, because it is only 8 laps long. We're already halfway through this race, as Harry is following as well. Someone is going deep into the braking zone. It's Tuasteri. Is that going to allow Mahmoudov to potentially have a go? As Alpha 1 is dropping behind even further, fighting it out with a Jaden up ahead. Probably getting some support in the chat, although he will need it because oh, there's contact ahead with Alpha Ball as he tries to find a way past the Ferrari driver, but he almost lost it there up the hill. Alpha Ball having a terrible time so far around Spa. Will want to reset himself for the main race as his teammate Godzilla finds it out with Mayo in the Aston Martin. He's gonna have to go the long way around the outside through No Name, and he's gonna get run out of road there, and he pulls off into the gravel, and he's gonna lose all sorts of positions, and down to P19 he goes. Balaboton has now created a gap of over 1 second towards Shark, which could be crucial in this race, but Harry looks to have the pace. And if he can get past Shark with the help of DRS, he could be chasing after Balaboton, because he will have the tire advantage in the last, well, 2-3 laps when the mediums start to fall off. Very close to the back of the Mercedes. But is he close enough? You will want to wait until after turn 1. But Shark is also very close to getting back within DRS range of Balaboton. The gap is 1.1 seconds, but I think he has just missed it, which will allow Harry to potentially have a go for P2 in this race. Godzilla has retired from the session. Harry is closing the gap, but look at the straight line speed that the Mercedes driver got. He's not even closing the gap at all. He's got the DRS and the slipstream, but could not gain any time as Mahmoudov gets past Lennons in the background. Blitz Hyper and Arbon both get past the Haas of Tuasteri. He's dropping down to P11. Doesn't seem to be having the pace on these hards, unfortunately. And it's dropped outside the top 10. Battle continues on for P2 though. Harry is going to have to get really close in the corners to get right up to the back of Shark down the straights, and then he might be able to have a go. Once again, 2/3 of a second, bit of a mistake there on the braking by Shark, as Harry himself runs off a bit wide there and hits the inside curb through turn 16. It looks like Balaboton has got the same on the exit. Has he gone off track, because the gap is down to 0.6 of a second. And now Shark and Harry have both been brought back in contention for the race win in this sprint race. Crucial mistake there by the Aston Martin driver, who was looking quite comfortable with a gap of 1.3 up until that point. What can Shark now do with his straight line speed advantage? The gap is 0.6 of a second. I think it's a little bit too much, unless the Aston Martin driver starts to save some battery, but I don't think he wants to do that when he's got a Mercedes driver in his pursuit. Shark closing the gap but only down to 4/10 of a second. As the other Mercedes of Kai re-overtakes Sean to go back up at the P4. Whilst Mahmudev gets past Nexus as well, while almost running off track there. But he does get that position. Whilst the one Haas is moving forward, whilst the other one is moving backwards. Mahmudev inside the top 6 now. Alpha High Ball back in P15 now. Chasing Jesus, one of his championship rivals. Neither of them is going to score points though in the sprint race. They're going to have to focus on the main race, which is where Jesus normally gets the good points scored over a longer distance. As the gap is 0.8 of a second again between Balabotan and Shark. Harry once again within 0.4 of a second, but that's not going to be enough because he just doesn't have the straight line speed to fully close the gap towards Shark. As we go into the penultimate lap of this sprint race. And once again, I think Shark is just a little bit too far behind to have a real opportunity to go at the Aston Martin driver. Harry once again close to the back, but he won't gain much time there as Shark now opens the DRS. He's getting closer and closer. Balabotan is going to have to defend the inside line, or Shark is going to send one as we go into the Lecombe chicane. But Balabotan later on the brakes and is able to maintain his position. Nexus drops down to P8 as the McLaren driver of Lennons gets past. For the final 2 points playing positions in the sprint race. Big fight going on there between Jesus, Dark Assassin and Alpha High Ball. Bit of rubbing on the exit as well. Wheel banging as Jesus forces his way past Dark Assassin. More contact on the exit, but eventually the Williams driver does get past. Now Alpha High Ball wants to have a go round the outside there, but he gets pushed off into the gravel, which is allows the Aston Martin driver to go through, and Jaden as well. It goes from bad to worse for our championship leader, down to P17 again. Dark Assassin getting his elbows out, fighting it out with both Jesus and Alpha High Ball. As the gloves are off, and it's why being a fight for only P13 in this race. But let's focus on the fight at the front. Balabotan, he's got 0.6 of a second as we enter the start-finish straight for what will be the final lap of this sprint race. But the gap is 0.7 again, which means Shark will not be close enough to go for the move. Harry close to the back again, but also not close enough to really go for the move, although he's deploying the battery to get close to the back of the Mercedes. But he knows that the Mercedes driver will have DRS as well, but does he have the battery to defend himself against the kick sour? Now the DRS deploys and the Mercedes driver is driving away from the kick sour again. As we go into the braking zone of the Lecombe chicane, and the top 3 remain as they were. Nexus defending against Arbon for the final point. And he does so successfully for now. Harry is trying to get his Sauber alongside as we go towards P1, but still the Mercedes driver remains ahead. Harry goes off track as he gets a lot of understeer at mid-corner. And now the only opportunity will be in the braking zone of the final chicane. What used to be a bus stop chicane, now it's just a regular chicane, turns 19 and 20. Look how close he is to the back of the Mercedes, but still Shark is doing just enough to stay ahead. Balabotan, he's got a 6/10 gap. For sure he will be safe. Can Harry do anything on the braking zone? Not quite, he's gonna have to stay behind. But Balabotan, although he runs quite deep into the chicane, he's going to cross the line to win the sprint race. And Balabotan will see the checkered flag first for the first time in Tier 3. As Twitch picks up a penalty there, Shark finishes in second place ahead of Harry, Kai, Sean in P5 on his return ahead of Mahmoudev, Lennon, and Nexus does get that final point in this sprint race. R1 and P9 just misses out by under 0.2 of a second. Then it's Blitz, Hyper, Ozan, Twitch, Jesus, Dark Assassin, Mayo, Jaden, Alpha Wolf, Robbie, and Raptor finishes down in P19. Godzilla was our only retirement. So, quite an entertaining sprint race that was. And well done to Balabotan, who really gained everything at the start with his sensational move. Going into turn 1 on lap 1. Got the lead from P3. And he didn't really look back afterwards. Though Shark and Harry got close in the end. They just didn't get close enough to put Balabotan's win under any threat. And now we will move on towards a normal qualifying session of 18 minutes, like we're used to. As it's quite overcast again, but still no sight of rain. So 18 minutes, a bit more time for everyone to get used to the track, although they got some nice practice in the sprint qualifying and the sprint race. But they will only have 2 sets of soft tires, as tire sets are limited, of course, when you have a sprint weekend. First out on track is Nexus in the Kicksauber. Already got 1 point under his belt in the sprint race. And what can he do in qualifying? And more importantly, in the main race afterwards. Nexus on the mediums, wanting to save his 2 sets of softs still later on in this qualifying session. And so does Balabotan and his teammate, who is going out on softs for his first run. How much faster can we go compared to sprint qualifying? I think it was a 41.9 was the quickest lap time. I'm sure we can go a few times quicker than that on multiple runs on the soft tires. Could we potentially see mid to high 41s as our pole time? We will find out in 16 minutes time. But Nexus makes his way towards the final chicane to start his first flying lap. Takes the wider approach out of the final corner to maximize the exit speed. DRS open. And the run towards La Source hairpin turn 1. Where the exit is probably the most important. Because you will be full throttle all the way towards the Lecombe chicane. Flat out, up the hill through Rouge and Radion. Going to battery and now the DRS will open for the Camel Straight. Next up is the Lecombe chicane. Turn 7, 8 and 9. Navigating very nicely indeed on the exit as well. Don't want to get stuck onto that curb down to turn 10. The Bruxelles hairpin, or if it really is a hairpin, then towards turn 11. So what used to be called No Name, but I think it's got a new name. I think it's called Jackie X corner or Speaker's corner, not quite sure which one they use. But now flat out should be through Buon, but he lifted a bit there as the inside grass there. Then towards turn 13, very early on turn in, a bit too early. And on the exit of turn 14, now through Stavelo, turn 15, hitting the grapple on the exit, and now it's going to be flat out all the way towards the final chicane again. Blowing the last bit of energy. Flat out through Blanchimont. And through the chicane, which is uphill a little bit. He misses his break point slightly there. And not quite the line you want to take through there, but his first lap time on the horse is going to be a 1:43.361. What about Balabodon, our newest race winner? He goes almost a full second quicker, 32.4 on the mediums as well. Then we wait for his teammate, who's on the softs, but can only manage a 43.4. Next up will be Blitzhyper on the mediums, as he makes his way out of Stavelo. And down into the braking zone, braking just after the 100 meter board. Hits the apex nicely there on the exit as well. Bit wide there, a big moment, big slide on the exit of the final corner. Because of that, he only manages a 43.6. Surely lost a tenth or two with that at least. Next up is Sky in the Mercedes. Can he go quicker than Malaboton? No, he can't. Misses out by a few hundredths of a second. Then it goes P3, also on the softs. Just behind is Sean, who is on the mediums as well. So Ozan even on the hards, and so is Godzilla. Interesting choice. Godzilla miles off the pace. 4.7 seconds. As Nexus has gone off track. Arbon goes P3, he's 6/10 off as well. Balabotel with a great lap time on the mediums. He is quicker than anyone else who set their lap time on softs. What about Ozan then on the hards? He will only be P10. Of course, not really a representative lap for the Red Bull, as he can go much quicker on a brand new set of softs. Raptor making his debut tonight in Tier 3. Haven't really talked much about him so far. At the end of the first sector. But he has slowed down, so must have backed off on his lap. Dark Assassin, he's on the mediums. And Shark has just started his lap on softs as well. Alpha High Ball will do as well in a minute time on the softs. 31.0 for Dark Assassin, but he is on the mediums. Has been struggling so far around this track. Through Puon and in towards turn 13 and 14. Has kept it within the white line so far, which is going to be the most important thing on his banker lap. 15.3 through the middle sector. Will he be anywhere near the time of Balaboton? Or will we be more looking at a time like Nexus in P5? Down into the braking zone of the final chicane. Really difficult to get right. Big slide on the exit as he crosses the line, and it is going to be P7. Just behind Mayo in the Aston Martin, who's improving his time, but not his position, and stays in P6. Twoosh there, he started his lap. What about Shark? He crosses the line, and he goes fastest, 42.393. He beats Balaboton, he's going out on softs now. but he beat the Aston Martin by only half a tenth. But Shark now on provisional pole position, but we have seen quick lap time so far in sprint qualifying. Alpha Hype Walden and Wusteri and Mahmudev all on their first runs as well, with just under 10 minutes remaining in this session. 14.4, 9 tenths quicker than Dark Assassin through the middle sector, so it will be close to the time of Shark, and we might see a new quickest lap time in qualifying. But I don't think it's quite going to be as quick as the 41.9 we have seen in sprint qualifying, but should be able to beat Shark's time of a 42.3 as he crosses the line, and he does, a 42.3 as well, beats him by 700ths of a second. Next up is Twisteri in the Haas on softs, and he goes fastest, 42.0, what a lap from Twisteri, and he beats Alpha Hype Wall by 3 tenths of a second. Great lap there by Twisteri. Now then, we wait for the teammate. 14.6, a few tenths off, but could be close to Alpha Highball, Shark and Balabotan, but we'll keep an eye out on Balabotan as well. He's already up by 1 tenth of a second through the first sector, and you know you really gain the time in the middle sector when you switch from mediums to softs. And Harry as well on his flying lap, but Mahmudev is going to cross the line. 42.2, and it's a Haas front row lockout in tier 3. But what can Harry do about that? Can he go into the 141s again, like he did in sprint qualifying? We'll wait and see until he crosses the line. No, he can't quite do it just yet. And he's going to settle for a 42.3, which puts him on the second row. But Balabotan, he's in P6. And he's up by half a second. We should be seeing a 41 right now if he gets the final chicane right, which it seems like he does. He crossed the line in 41.963, and Balabotan is back on top here at Spa. Another 41.9. Like we've seen before. But not quite the 41.9 we have seen in sprint qualifying, because that was a very low 0.9, but still. Balabotan at the front of the field with 6.5 minutes to go in qualifying. Nexus has improved to P5, just ahead of his teammate. And Sean and Ozan both have put on a brand new set of softs, right behind each other on track. Ozan just ahead of Sean. Driver is currently 3.8 seconds off the pace. That's his best run so far, has been on the hards. But he already finds 1.7 seconds through the middle sector. Sean going quick as well in the RB, as Blitz Hyper has just started his a second flying lap as well. But we wait and see what Ozan can do. Can he get close towards his teammate, who is currently in P9? Or will he be a little bit behind as he crosses the line? P11 for the Red Bull. What about Sean? As he crosses the line, he goes up to P9 with a 42.8. Blitz Hyper finds just under a tenth of a second through the first sector. It's currently 1.7 seconds of pole position. We still haven't seen Jesus, Frobby and Raptor out on track. Well, we have seen Raptor out on track, but he abandoned his first flying lap. As Blitz Hyper is now going half a second quicker. And Dark Assassin now on the soft as well, almost 2 tenths quicker through the first sector. We'll keep an eye out on the Ferrari driver. who we know has been quick before this season, but in the past few rounds he has struggled. Blitz Hyper crosses the line, and it is going to be up at the P9. 42.6. Then Dark Assassin and Mayo both on a flying lap, P14 and P15. But let's see how much time Dark Assassin will find through the middle sector. 0.7 of a second. Big improvement so far, but still one sector remaining. And you can really get a lot in the final sector, in the final chicane. Can make the difference. And separate a good lap from a great lap. Looks to be decent. Where is this lap time going to put him? He crosses the line. P8. 42.5. In between the two Mercedes drivers. And then we wait for Mayo in the Aston Martin. Once again on the softs. But he is also going 0.6 quicker through the middle sector. So already great lap so far from the Aston Martin. And will be close towards the top 10. If he finds some more time in the final sector. Had a forgettable weekend. Or forgettable race last week. At Silverstone Reverse. As he crossed the line, P8. Good lap there. And potentially on for his first points finish for Aston Martin. Looking decent so far. As everyone else is going out for their final runs with 2.5 minutes to go. Looks like this will be the final runs for both Mayo and Dark Assassin as they're out on track. And won't be back in pit lane in time to go out again. For any more runs. So it's going to be P8 and 9 at best. Just going to have to hope that the cars behind will not improve their time. First to start their flying lap is going to be Harry in the Kick Sauber. He's going to have to find 0.4 of a second to be able to beat Balabotan, which is going to be easier said than done, but we have seen a 41.9 from him before in sprint qualifying. So he should be able to replicate that with a longer session. Thank you very much, Jamie. Always for the support. Harry finds 1.5 through sector 1. Looking good so far, just needs to keep it within the white lines. And looks very quick there through the Lacombe chicane. Shark behind. Starts his flying lap. Balabotan in the Aston Martin. We'll keep an eye on both of them because they both have been quick. Balabotan, Shark and Harry were the top 3 in the sprint race. But also the two Haas drivers who have shown some exceptional pace so far in qualifying. Dark Assassin retires from the session. He can't improve his time. But looks to be a great middle sector for Harry. Could be a magical lap for the Kick Sauber drive. He finds already 0.4 of a second. It's very close towards Balabotan. If he finishes like this, he will be 0.2 of a second ahead again. Like the distance was between P1 and P2 in sprint qualifying. But I'm sure he's going to be able to find some more time in the final chicane. As the McLaren gets out of the way. To the right and to the left. Really committed to the inside of the track. Great final chicane as well. Harry is going to cross the line and it's going to be a 1:41.827 and the fastest time we've seen so far tonight. And he is on provisional pole position. Balabotan is going 1/10 quicker. It is going to be really close between himself and Harry. What about this final chicane though? Can he go any faster? Can he beat the 1:41.8 as he crosses the line? Yes, he can. 41.6, and he beats Harry by 0.2 of a second. Brilliant lap time by Balabotan. What about Shark? Only P4 with a 42.1. He'll be better than Fair Play. Well, that's not putting the standard very high, but still appreciated. It is, well, would be incredible though. Jaden backs off. The two Haas drivers are up next, and Kai in the Mercedes is, well, not really. Nexus in the Sauber is the one who's going to cross the line soon. As he gets narrow to the inside. Oh, P3, second row. Tuasteri's backed off. He will not improve. Mahmudev gets ahead of the Kick Sauber. He finds himself now on the second row. What about Al5 Wolf? He has invalidated. Starts down in P7 at best. Aston Martin is going driving. He's going back in. Sean goes up to P11. As Kai finds a tenth of a second through the middle sector. Ozan, P14. Godzilla up next, improving by 2.5 seconds. He goes P13. Great lap as well. And Kai goes P8. Great final run as well. What about Raptor? He has invalidated. Then we wait for Jesus. No, we don't. The two McLarens. Lennon's P8. Goes inside the top 10 as well. And the last across the line, once again, is his teammate Frobby. Hasn't set a lap time so far in this session. And it is gonna be P17 only for the McLaren driver. But it is Balo Botan on pole position for the second time this season. With an astonishing lap time of a 141.6. 2 weeks ago, he got his first pole position at Silverstone. And 2 weeks later, he's on pole position again at Spa by 2 tenths ahead of Harry Modev in P3. Nexus, Twisteri Shark, Alpha Highball, Lennon, Sky, Mio Lenoci, Arbon, Dark Assassin, Sean, Godzilla, Blitz, Hyper, Ozan, Frobby Jesus in P18 again. He always does it in qualifying. Jaden in P19, and Raptor will start this race from the back in P20. Thank you very much, Jamie, for the kind words as always. And you are correct. I will be commentating in real life on the go-kart event in a few weeks' time. I'll get the message out. Hopefully they don't ready up yet, because they're not allowed. There we go then. But yes, in a few weeks' time I will be going to a go-kart track here in the Netherlands with Jamie and a few others to commentate on a 24-hour event. So looking forward to that as well. First time on the mic in real life. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be special as well. But more about that later. Now we are gonna be focusing on this race. Balaboton, he's won the sprint race. Can he do it again and win the main race as well to get the maximum amount of points? He's got 8 already, well 9 already with the pole position point. He just has to win and get the fast lap as well to get the maximum result, which, well, easier said than done, because he hasn't been able to manifest himself at podium yet this season. It is going to be exciting, and I can't wait either. But the time will fly, and before you know it, it is the 4th of October. No problem, mate. Thank you, and I'll see you later, mate. What about on Harry, Mahmudev, and Nexus? That's the front. That's the top 4. Haas and Kick Sauber both in a very handy position to score some big points. As the strategy around Spa is a regular one-stop, mediums to hards. Ik spreek je later. Tire wear is not that high around Belgium. Although you're going to have to do some tire management at the end of both stints. Well, not both stints, the hards. They go a long way. The mediums around 8 laps, like we've seen in the sprint. 8, 9, maybe 10. You can stretch it and go longer. But you need to take care of those tires because they do drop off quite quickly. So Jesus once again is going to start on the hards. He's done that over the past few races. On some occasions it has worked better than on others. Let's see how far he's going to get in this race. He's going to be going longer than everyone else. And then going for the overcut rather than the undercut. And so is Godzilla and Sean in the Alpine and RB respectively. It is time though to find out who is going to score the 25 points tonight. Three different race winners in the last 3 weeks. 2 new race winners over the past 2 weeks. Are we going to see another new winner? Could be Balaboten, but the lights go on for the Belgian Grand Prix. Balaboten in pole position with Harry alongside. The lights are out. And here we go around Spa-Francorchamps once again. Balaboten once again with an excellent start and he leads into the third one. That's 3 wide in the background. Tuish there with an optimistic dive and there's contact with his teammate. Mahmoudov gets spun around and he's all the way down to P14. Tuish there has survived turn 1 as someone's going off in the background. That is Lennons in the McLaren spinning around on the run towards Eau Rouge and Radion, and going off as well there is Raptor in the RB. It's quite chaotic on the opening lap, but the run towards the Lecombe chicane sees Harry and Balaboten fight it out, but Balaboten remains ahead of the Sauber. The other Sauber Nexus in P3, then it's Tuish Terry 9/10 behind, and the 2 Mercedes drivers of Kai and Shark. P5 and 6, Alpha Bull and P7 already trying to find a way past Shark, but unable to do so right now. Dark Sass and P8, Arbol and P9 both having gained positions from the start. Blitz Hyper in the last point playing position in P10. Then it's Sean and Mahmoudov who's dropped all the way down to P12. Ahead of the Aston Martin of Mayo, and then Ozan in P14. Jesus with a decent start. And Jaden in P16. But Lennon's there. Once again unlucky this season. He's got front wing damage. He got spun around. Not sure what exactly happened on the exit of turn 1. But he finds himself down in P20. The Aston Martin driver once again leads the way, but Harry is getting closer to the back. Already looking to find a way past potentially when the DRS gets enabled on the next lap. As Sean goes slightly deep into the chicane. And Harry already going for it, and he has taken the lead going into turn 1. But that could be a tactical decision by Balaboten, who will now have the DRS as we go up the hill. Harry leads the way through Eau Rouge. Yellow flags are out in the background. Not sure who it is for. It might be Godzilla, but here comes Balaboten with the help of DRS Slipstream. Pulls to the inside, and Balaboten is back into the lead of this race ahead of Harry and Nexus. Alpha Ball in the background looking to find a way past Shark. Side by side in the background. Ozan goes around the outside of the Aston Martin. Jaden finds a way past Jesus, who's down to P16. But he is on the hards, just like Godzilla and Sean. So Godzilla had a moment himself as well. He's down in P20 in the Alpine. Must have spun around in turn 1. Tuish Terry is very close to the back of Nexus. We're starting to drop behind the top 2. The gap is 9/10 of a second between the 2 Saubers. Though you would think they want to work together to get the maximum result for the team. But at the moment, Nexus is being driven outside of DRS range. Harry is once again close to the back of Balaboten, and he's going to try and go around the outside into the final chicane. And Harry takes the lead again as we go on to the start-finish straight. And Balaboten playing it smart like he did on the previous lap, knowing he will have the DRS on the Camel Straight. But he makes a mistake on the braking there as the back end steps out, and that allows Nexus to have a go at the Aston Martin. Doesn't quite make it work. And now the gap has grown a bit towards Harry, but still 4/10 of a second. He should be able to close that gap with the help of Slipstream ERS. And DRS 10, Godzilla has retired from the session again as Balaboten pulls to the inside. and will take the race lead once more, like he did on the last lap. Nexus defends successfully against Twisteri. As Kai has to go up the inside of the Haas driver, but is unable to make it work just yet. As everyone is in this DRS train all the way towards Frobby in P17. And then Raptor has dropped outside, 1.5 seconds. Kai now tries to go around the outside of turn 30. We'll have the inside line for the next corner, but Twisteri goes a long way around the outside and stays ahead as the Mercedes driver skips wide on the curb and into the gravel. Twisteri with another good defense against the Mercedes. Are we gonna see the exact same thing like we have seen on the previous 2 laps where Balabotan is gonna let Harry through? Harry thinks the better of it this time and stays behind the Aston Martin. But now on the start-finish straight, Balabotan is ahead and runs slightly deep and is very slow through turn 1. It's contact between himself, Harry and Nexus, as the 2 Sauers have to push the Aston Martin through the corner. In the background, Mahmudev and Blitz Hyper swap positions, and Mahmudev finds himself back inside the top 10. Now, is it going to be the other way around? Harry with the DRS. Balabotan defends the inside line, but the overspeed of Harry is going to see him take the lead of this race. Gets ahead of the Aston Martin, and now can try and build a gap towards Balabotan. Bit of a gap forming between the 2 Mercedes drivers. 1.3 is Kai behind. And he has dropped outside of the DRS range. But trying to get back within under a second as Twisteri already with a 3-second time penalty on lap 4. That might hamper his chances of getting a good result tonight. In the background there was Arbor and Mahmudev fighting it out, the Haas driver on his comeback, trying to find a way past the tier 2 Red Bull driver. Close to the back, but not quite close enough. Harry's got a 5-tenth gap towards Balabotan, as the Aston Martin once again struggles in the braking zone of the bus stop chicane. DRS open as we go on to lap 5 of 22. And Balabotan once again finds himself within striking distance of the Kick Sauber. And with the help of the DRS, he should be able to get back ahead of Harry. These two have been swapping around since the opening lap. Here comes the Aston Martin to the inside and back into the lead of this race. Although, as I say that, Balabotan is back ahead. What has happened to Harry? Didn't quite catch that. And now Nexus has to go up the inside of his teammate. So was there a mistake from Harry? Or did his teammate just go around the outside? They were fighting it out through the second part of that chicane as well. As Twisteri goes completely wide there through Pouan. But Harry now down to P3. Having been in the lead of this race, going on to lap 5. And what can Nexus do? Can he have a go at the Aston Martin, who is going to be slowing down, going towards the final chicane? It's the gap shrunk to 0.3 of a second. A bit of a mistake there from Nexus under braking of the final chicane, and that allows Harry to have a go at his teammate on the exit with the switchback as they go wheel to wheel down to the braking zone of turn 1. But Nexus is going to stay ahead for now as the Balaboton there parks the bus on the apex. And now the gap is 3/10 of a second. And look how close the Sauber is as he makes contact with his teammate, and Harry goes round the outside of Nexus to take back second place. But that was very close to going completely wrong as Shark gets past Wusteri. And the Mercedes is now up to P4. The fight continues on. Kai is back within DRS range. And so is everyone else all the way down towards Ozon in P13. And Mayo in the Aston Martin is 1.4 behind. Or 1.7 now. Towards the top 13 who is in DRS range. It is a massive DRS train. As once again I missed the fight for race lead. Harry gets ahead of Balaboton. As we go to the entry of Pouon. But that could be a tactical decision once again by the Aston Martin. To let the Sauber through. And then fight him later on the next lap. Wusteri close to the back of Shark. As the Aston Martin fully closes the gap again towards Harry. It's 0.2 of a second going into the braking zone of the bus stop. But Balaboton goes way too deep there and has to cut across. Picks up a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. Which, well, he might be able to get removed. But unfortunately, he's going to have to make a pit stop. Where they will have to serve that. So this has completely ruined the race of Balaboton, who will be dropping behind like a stone when he makes his pit stop. Speaking of pit stops, Kai and Mahmudev both pulling into the pit lane for a brand new set of hards. So Balaboton, he got behind Nexus, now gets back ahead of the kick-out, but someone is going very slowly in the background. That is Shark. What has happened to Shark in the Mercedes? Big problems there, as he has lost all sorts of straight line speed there. And he's dropped down to P11. What on earth happened there for Shark? He seems to have got back up to speed again. But that was a really strange moment, as that is going wide. There is Arbon into the gravel. And it's dropped him down towards P10, fighting it out with Sean and Blitz Hyper. And the gap at the front is now 1.2 seconds between Harry and Balaboton. Will we see the Aston Martin putting it the pit lane early to go for the undercut? But of course he's going to have to serve that 10-second time penalty, so it doesn't really matter when he pits, because he will be losing a lot of positions due to that penalty. Nexus has completely dropped behind as well. In the second, Sauber must be suffering from tyre wear already on lap 7. But they all stay out, except for Alpha High Wall. Our championship leader pulls into the pit lane to go for the undercut, going on to lap 8. Ozon in the Red Bull as well into the pit lane, and so is Froby in the McLaren. Raptor follows in the RB. But let's see where Alpha High Wall is going to come out compared to Kai and Mahmudev. I think he is going to be behind both of them as they go through turn 1. Alpha High Wall has the tighter exit line, but that is the gap between himself and Mahmudev, 1.7 seconds. Nexus and Wusteri fight it out as the Haas driver tries to go long around the outside, but almost get pushed into the gravel there by Nexus. Blitz Hyper and Arbon going wheel to wheel. The Williams driver goes wide and Arbon goes through. Harry has now established a healthy lead over Balaboton. 1.2, 1.3. And his nearest rival is his own teammate. But we have to keep in mind the likes of Kai and Mahmudev with the undercut, because they will be near the kick sauber of Harry and potentially could get ahead because these laps are critical. And is Harry going to pull into the pit lane at the end of this lap, or is he going to continue on for another one? He is going to pull to the pit lane. Now race leader at the end of lap 8 pulls into the pit lane. So does his teammate Nexus, going for the double stack. Balabotan as well, but he will be serving that 10-second time penalty. Toursterry, Dark Assassin, Arlen, Jesus or Blitz Hyper. Everyone else inside the top 10 pulling into the pit lane. Has the hearts to go underneath the kick Sauber. And he comes out of the pit lane, but where is Kai? There he is, very close to the back of Harry and will have the DRS. So Harry is back out in the provisional race lead. But Kai is right at the back of the kick Sauber with the 2-lap, well, I wouldn't say tire advantage, but the tires are up to temperature and he's close with the DRS. And Kai is going to get past Harry. And Kai now finds himself in a race leading position once Jesus and Sean make their pit stop. Mahmudev in a net P3 position, ahead of Alpha Hive1 now in P4, Twisteri in P5. Then it would be Dark Assassin, Ozan and Nexus, who has dropped a lot due to the double stack. And just ahead of Arbon in the Red Bull. And Balabotan all the way down in P15. Really has lost a lot of time, having to serve that 10-second time penalty. And his chances of winning his first race, first main race, have significantly reduced, and he's going to have to hope for some sort of neutralization, like a safety car, to get him back into the fight. But Kai now, former race winner in Tier 3, finds himself at the front. But he's got Harry and Mahmudev both for company. And they are chasing Jesus and Sean. Two drivers who have won in Tier 3 before as well. Jesus, of course, 2-time world champion. As Harry gets close to the back of Kai and with the help of DRS might be able to get past on lap 10. I say might be, but it is looking very likely that the Kickstar will find a way past the Mercedes. DRS open and he pulls to the inside and Harry is back ahead of Kai into the virtual race lead. Nexus gets past Arbon, back inside the top 10. As Balabotan finds a way past Froby, goes a little bit deep there though, but maintains his position. As the other McLaren and the other Aston Martin also swap around, Lennon's now in P18, not in last place anymore, but he's gonna have a 5-lap tire disadvantage at the end of this race. How long can Sean and Jesus extend their stint? Harry has closed the gap towards Jesus by around 2 seconds now. Kai, Mahmudev still within DRS range. Harry will have the better tires though at the end of the race and could potentially go for a back-to-back victory as he sets the fastest lap of the race, as we're now at the halfway point of this race, lap 11 of 22. Sean leads out of Jesus, but it is Harry, the first one of those who have made a pit stop. Alpha Hive Wall 4 seconds behind. He's got Twisteri right behind him with that 3-second time penalty, and Dark Assassin in a decent position as well. And then it's Ozan, Nexus and Arbon, and Shark with that really strange moment earlier finds himself in a P12 position just inside the points. Balabotan gets ahead of Blitz Hyper and can now try and chase after Shark to maybe bring home some points at the end of this race. As Lennon has dropped back down to P19. Another 1.5 second gain by Harry, almost 2 seconds, but he runs out wide. Harry with a 3-second time penalty. And this could be crucial for this race. He just ran out wide there. Through turn 14, I think that is. It's so easy to do. Because the curb on the outside, if you get on that, it just drags you off track. And that is a very unfortunate time penalty for Harry. Last week he had a 3-second time penalty as well, but he got that removed. I'm not sure if he can get this one removed at the end of the race. But this could be detrimental for his race, because Kai and Mahmudev are right behind him to capitalize from that 3-second time penalty. And Kai is also looking to get back ahead with the help of DRS as he gets close to the back of the Kicksauber in the slipstream. And he is going to pull to the inside. And Kai is going to go back in towards P3 and what will be the virtual lead of this race. It has slowly turned into a three-way fight for the win. Because Alpha was almost 5 seconds behind there. 4.6 towards Mahmudev. Although we don't know where Sean will come out. Jesus has lost a lot of time. He is not really comfortable around this track. Gap's now 2 seconds towards Kai. He will almost be a full pit stop behind the leaders. Might be a tough afternoon. Or a tough evening for Jesus. But for Sean, might be a good result might be on the cards for the man returning in tier 3. But he has to do a few more laps though on these hards to make this strategy work. As he continues on to lap 13, it's gonna be a matter of time before Kai and Harry get up to the back of Jesus. It's now 1.6 seconds as we go on to lap 13 with Kai, Harry and Mahmudev chasing each other. And then it's the second trio of Alpha Bolt, Terry and Dark Assassin. And then the train, which is led by Ozan. Raptor is out of the race on his debut, but here comes Harry with the help of DRS. Is he looking to find a way past as he goes up the inside in towards chicane? And Kai doesn't defend much. And Harry back ahead of the Mercedes. Meanwhile, Nexus finds a way past Ozan and now is into P9. But Harry now gets at the back of Jesus. It's 9/10 of a second. So he will, well, might not get held up here actually. This could be very handy for Sauber. Because if he gets right at the back at the end of this lap, he might just grab a DRS at the exit of turn 1. Which helps him in his fight against Kai and Mahmudev. Well, to say that, the gap has grown towards 1.2 seconds again as Jesus just started pushing it a little bit. So Harry will not have the DRS. And that is because Jesus is putting into the pit lane at the end of lap 13. It's a bit early to go into the mediums, but you don't want to stay out for too long. Sean continues on though, going on to lap 14. Gap is 7.5 seconds between himself and Harry. It's going to be interesting to see where Jesus comes out, because if you just subtract 7 seconds from that, you'll know where Sean will sort of come around out of the pit lane. As Here comes Sky again to re-overtake the kick Sauber. And there's not really a lot Harry can do, but he's going to keep his nose on the inside. There's contact and Harry gets almost spun around. And you could see that that was coming as they tried to go wheel to wheel through the Macomb chicane. But eventually the kick Sauber ran out of the road and made contact with the rear left of Kai. And he is lucky to not go fully around there, as that could have been in disaster. But now he still is in this lead train and in the fight for the race win. But that was very close for comfort, which has now allowed Mahmudev to take a virtual second place. Jesus has come out in P13, and if Sean pits, he might be able to get out in P7 ahead of Nexus. Let's see if he's going to pull the pit lane at the end of this lap. He does. So we're going to find out soon as Mahmudev gets close to the back of Kai in the battle for P1. I'm confident that Harry is the quickest of these three, but he's unable to build a gap of over 1 second, and now is stuck behind these two again. But this is where Sean is coming out on track. He is, well, actually way behind. So I was completely wrong. He's going to be in that train rather than ahead, as he gets out in P10 just behind Arbon and just ahead of Shark, but he's inside the top 10. Let's see what he can do, as Mahmudev is going to try and go for the lead, and he does. Mahmudev gets ahead of Kai. Now we've got a new race leader in this race, and his name is Mahmudev, one of the drivers who has not won a race yet here in Revolution or in Tier 3. So could we potentially see a new race winner for the 3rd week in a row? That would be quite something, because Mahmudev last week, or no, 2 weeks ago, picked up his first podium in Revolution. That was at the British Grand Prix, the normal Silverstone layout. Didn't race last week at the reverse layout, but now he is looking really strong as well. Currently finds himself at the front of the field by 0.6 of a second towards Kai. Then this fight for P4, led by Alpha Hive Wall. Dark Assassin, Swoosh Terry, Nexus is closing the gap as well. Sean gets past Ozan, who dropped behind Arbon at the beginning of this lap. Now the gap is 2 seconds between two Red Bulls. In the background, that is the Mercedes of Shark going along around the outside, but outbrakes himself a bit there as he goes into the grass, into the braking zone. And now he's lost out to Balaboton as well, down to P12. And under attack from Jesus, who tries to go around the outside into turn 1. Bit of contact between the two. Jesus still keeping his nose in on the outside though, has the better traction with the mediums. And now puts himself in P12 inside the points. As always, I missed the change of lead, as Kai now gets past Mahmudev. And Harry, what has happened to Harry? He's 1.5 seconds behind. He has dropped off massively to the top 2. And needs to push a little bit more to get back within DRS range if he wants to have any shot at the race win. Nexus now fully within DRS range. Arbon as well. Sean has remained ahead of Ozan, who's dropped behind even further now. Jesus gets past Balabotan on these mediums. Now is going to be chasing after Ozan, but what can Sean do? He for sure will have the pace quicker than all of everyone, everyone ahead of him. But if he can get past these guys quickly enough, P4 is surely on for the RB driver. Meanwhile, Harry has got back within the DRS range, so that's good news for him. As Dark Assassin is going to have a go at Alpha Hive Wall in the braking zone. These two got very close to each other in the sprint race. Now in the main race finding themselves fighting it out for P4. And on the exit, Alpha will remains ahead of Dark Assassin, but the Ferrari driver will have to DRS. Going on to the Camel Straight in a few moments' time. Oh, there is contact though, as the Ferrari gets hit from behind by Twosteri. And now Alpha has got a 6-10 lead going into Eau Rouge. Mahmudev back into the lead, ahead of Kai. These two are just swapping around every single lap. As Twosteri goes to the inside of Dark Assassin, Nexus and Arbon fighting it out as well. The Ferrari is still there and he makes contact with the Haas. And because of that, he drops all the way down to P9 as he tried to rejoin, made contact with Sean as well. And that is bad news for the Ferrari driver who was in the fight for P5 and P4. But now dropped all the way down to P9 and has slowed down a little bit and is out of DRS range towards Sean. Not a lot Sean could do there in that moment. Just unfortunate timing there with the Ferrari driver trying to get back on track. But the fight is continuing on for P4, and so is the fight for race lead. Mahmudev, Kai and Harry. We've got 5 laps remaining in this race. And which of these 3 drivers will see the checkered flag first? Another fight here in the pack here. Oh, very close on the exit. It is Nexus getting out of control on the exit of the final corner, almost dragging Arbon with him into the wall. At the exit of the final corner, and that is Dark Assassin sending one up the inside in towards turn 1. And he gets ahead of the Sauber, who drops down to P9. But that was very close between himself and Arbon. And for the 5th consecutive lap I missed the change of lead, but Kai is back ahead of Mahmudev for P1. But what about this fight? Twosteri is on the inside of Alpha High Wall as we go into the chicane. And Twosteri gets the position and is now up at the P4. Nexus goes off track, trying to fight it out with Dark Assassin and Arbon. And comes back in P9 and now is trying to have a go at Dark Assassin. But can't quite pull it off. And what about Sean going all the way around the outside through No Name? What a move from Sean, who is now up at the P5 and can set his sight towards Twosteri. Just ahead in the Haas. And Sean here surely on for a top 4 finish. I don't think he can get close towards the top 3. The gap is 7.5 seconds. And his mediums eventually will drop off on the last 2 laps probably. But Sean is on for a very good result on his return to Tier 3. Same could be said though for Kai, who might be on for a potential victory here. Hup hup. The Werevogels, well, that is tomorrow. But we go on to lap 19 of 22, there's 4 laps remaining. Balaboto picks up a penalty, fights it out with the other Mercedes of Shark. For the final point paying position, and something has happened, and it's Balaboto is off track. From hero to zero, unfortunately, in this race. And you hate to see it from the man who started on pole position. Here comes Mahmudev once again to the inside and back into the lead of this race. Gets ahead of Kai. As Sean finds a way past Twosteri and can try to set his sights on the 3 ahead of him, as Lennons is out of the race as well. Unfortunately, becomes our 3rd retirement. Jesus goes around the outside of Nexus to see the Williams driver up to P9. Sean on these laps will be a lot quicker than Harry. And Kai and Mahmudev. And he's gained a full second so far, but there's only 3 laps to go after this one. It would be incredibly impressive though if he gets within 3 seconds of Harry. to maybe snatch away that final podium position. But these three, of course, will have to DRS on each other as well, which is going to make it a bit more difficult. Harry looking at the back of Kai there. And well done to Terry, remaining within DRS range, for now at least, to Sean. I'm assuming he will be dropping out as we go the exit of turn 1. The gap is now 6.2 between Harry and Sean, so 1.5 seconds gained on the last lap. But we'll be losing out a little bit on the next straight. Are we going to see a change of lead once again, like we have seen on the past 10 laps or so? Not quite. Mahmudov remains in his P1 position. Kai remains in second place and Harry remains in P3. Balaboto into the pit lane in P17 as Ozan and Blitzhyper swap around. Blitzhyper to P11 behind Nexus in P10. Jesus in P9. What can he do on the mediums? Can he get ahead of this train and potentially get a P6 result? Maybe even P5. He gets within 3 seconds of Terry. So Arbon is looking to find a way past Alpha Hype Wall, but runs slightly deep in towards Pool and picks up a 3-second time penalty. Very unfortunate, because that is going to ruin his chances of getting a top 5. Another second gained for Sean. He only needs 2 more to be within 3 seconds of Harry, but it is going to be close with 2 laps to go. Lap 21 of 22, Mahmudov is still our race leader, ahead of Kai and Harry. But for how much longer, as Harry runs deep into the background there, going into turn 1. And Mahmudov finds himself with a 6-10 gap going onto the Camel Straight, but probably Kai wants to stay behind until the last lap. Look at the ERS advantage that Mahmudov has got. He's also got a straight line speed advantage, it seems. So Mahmudov is in a very good position to win his first ever race in Revolution. Ozan back ahead of Blitzhyper. Shark is going to try and go up the inside as well, and there is contact between those two. And Shark stays down at P13. Of course, he will get the position because Blitzhyper's got a 3-second time penalty. Looks like Sean is going to run out of laps before he gets to the back of Harry, or at least within 3 seconds, because he hasn't really gained a lot of time on this lap. Gap is 4.7. He's gonna have to hope for a miracle to get within 3 seconds on the final lap. A bit of a mistake there as well through the first part of the chicane. He is saving up his battery though for that final lap. Seven tenths is the gap between Mahmudov and Kyle, which would be enough to defend against the Mercedes coming on to the Camel Straight. And Kai looks like he might have to look backwards rather than forwards. We're going to the final lap of this race, and it's 8.5 tenths between Mahmudov and Kai. Dark Assassin with a 3-second time penalty, but what about Harry? Can he get ahead of the Mercedes? Neither of them have any battery left. Mahmudov is not even using it. Now he does, as we go on to the Camel Straight. Look at the gap, it's 6 tenths of a second. There's no way Kai is closing the gap towards the Haas driver. And Mahmudov will remain in the lead going into the second sector. Now all he has to do is keep it within the white lines for the remainder of this lap and not let the Mercedes driver get too close. Going on to the back straight. The fight is there between Dark Assassin and Arbon as well for P7 and P8, but those will drop behind both Jesus and Nexus with their penalties. Looks like Alpha High Bull will be getting a top 5 result again. unless Twitch can pull off a miracle. As Madaboton gets the fastest lap. He won't get a point for that though. You need to get inside the top 10 to earn that point. But we focus on the front. Mahmudev has saved up some battery. So has Kai. It is 4 tenths going on to the final straight towards the bus stop chicane. 4 tenths separate Mahmudev, Kai and Harry. Only one chicane to go. Down into the braking zone of turns 19 and 20. And Mahmudev, he is going to come around the final corner and he is going to win the Belgian Grand Prix. And finally Mahmudev can call himself a race winner in Revolution. The Haas driver wins ahead of Kai on his return on a beautiful podium. And Harry is going to have to settle for P3 regardless of his penalty. Sean on his return gets a very good P4 position ahead of Alpha Hype Wall in P5 and Twusteri in P6. But wow, what a result from Mahmudev, who got his first podium here in Revolution 2 weeks ago at Silverstone. And now he finally can call himself a race winner. Mahmudev wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Astonishing performance from a reserve driver. Once again victorious in Tier 3. Not for the first time this season. But wow, what a podium. Mahmudev and Kai as well, after a few weeks off here in Tier 3 on his return in the fight for the race win. Eventually has to settle for second place, but I'm sure he will be pretty happy with that as well, as he will more than double his points tally so far this season. But congratulations towards Mahmudev, a very well deserved victory. Held off both Harry and Kai in the end. Beautiful stuff for the Haas driver. And he is the highest scoring driver of the total event. Sean P13 to P4, great result as well. Great comeback. Jesus, from P18 to P7, but once again I think, well, actually Harry is going to close the gap towards Alpha Hype Wall of the championship just a little bit, but not by too much. And these are the final results. Nice commentary, thank you very much for the compliment, I really appreciate it. As messages like that are the reason I keep doing it. So thank you very much. But what an evening that was around Spa-Francorchamps, and will be much to talk about after the race. Harry closes in a few points in the championship towards Alpha Hype Wall, but the Alpine driver still has got one hand on the championship trophy. We have got 5 races remaining in the championship, including another sprint race at the mystery event, round 14. But next week we will return for round 11 of the season, and it's going to be the Qatar Grand Prix at the Losail International Circuit. That's it though from me tonight. Hope you all enjoyed, and thank you all for tuning into the stream. Tomorrow I will be uploading the highlights somewhere in the afternoon of both the sprint and the main race. So be sure to check that out as well. But thank you all for tuning in. Really appreciate it as always. And hope to see you again very, very soon. Next week we're back at Qatar to resume this season. Thank you, Muna, for the compliment. I'm Italian, but I understand everything. Well, I'm actually not English myself, so English is not my first language. I try to do my best to make it understandable for everyone. So really hope you enjoy it as well. So thank you very much. But that's it from me tonight. I'll see you guys next week, and have a good evening and goodbye.